Bonjour, and welcome to another episode of the Omnia Performance Podcast. You'll be pleased to hear I am going to speak in English rather than that fluent and well-delivered French that I opened with. Today, we are joined by none other than our social media manager, Kelly, who's going to talk us through her recent escapade, adventure, trip. Do I know any Italian? No, I don't know any Italian. And probably consume some pizza at some point by doing a 144-kilometre, dangerously close to 100-mile distance race in Puglia, Italy. Keldog, hello.
Hey, how you going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Been a funny few weeks, hasn't it? But we'll come on to that. So, 144k ultra, longest run ever?
Longest run ever.
Will it be your longest run ever?
No.
Okay. The haze has dropped. Good.
Yeah.
You're out of the foolish I'm never doing that again phase and into the was that bad? I can't really remember. Let's just have you yet looked at another race on the internet yet? Have you got that far?
Yes, I think today was the day.
Okay.
Morning.
So this is a well-timed podcast.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's track back. What were we, two weeks ago? 2 weekends ago? So what date was it?
7th of November.
7th of November, Puglia, Italy, UTMB, 144k. How many metres of elevation?
3,800, almost 4,000.
Many meters. Too many meters, perhaps. First time in Italy?
No, not first time, but first time racing in Italy.
Okay, awesome. Because I don't know if anyone's picked up on this, but Kelly is Australian and not from here, but is obviously currently here. So, how much of the trip was kind of exploring a different part of Europe in a new way? Was that a key driver for why you chose to do that race?
Oh yeah, 100%. So I've never been down anywhere near the south of Italy. It's always been up north. I didn't want to do my longest race in the UK. I just wanted it to be in Europe.
Yeah, take it. I'll confirm that's a wise call. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. It's going to be warmer. I'm used to warmer climates, and as soon as I saw Puglia, I'm like, I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. And I get to have pizza and Aperol Spritz at the finish line. And that was, I think, the main driver for getting that race done. And is
Puglia the part of Italy that's kind of got some infrastructure and you can pay with card for things? Because I know some parts of Italy are like, no, we don't really know when the bus is. The timetables are out of date and a card. What is that? Which isn't to be derogatory in any way, just that they are comfortable in living the way that things have always been rather than the way that things have become. So was it easy enough to get yourself in the right headspace to be able to actually perform once you got there?
Sort of. I think, I had to get buses down to the start line, and I showed up in a random town trying to find my Airbnb. No taxis whatsoever.
Yeah, no, this sounds about right, yeah.
And I'm like, how am I meant to walk to my accommodation, which was an hour in farming, like paddocks everywhere. And I'm like, I've got to run 145k the next day. How on earth am I going to save my legs? So eventually I had the hotel receptionist come pick me up, but it was just another world where I just kind of had to, the journey to the start line was just as hard as the race itself.
Which is always the case. And I think that exact description and the nature of my question is testament to why they live longer than anyone else in the world, is because they just slow things down. Mm-hmm. Which is quite a nice fitting metaphor for an ultra, actually. Slow things down, take your time, embrace the scenery, eat some pizza. If somebody hands you some red wine at mile 103 or whatever it might be, then you know what? Maybe take it. So, longest run prior to this?
110 kilometres.
When was that?
That was, 2 years ago. Okay,
and that was Europe, Australia?
That was Australia. That was in probably balmy 20 degrees.
Was that one of the Blue Mountains ones?
No. That was down Surf Coast Sanctuary.
Okay.
So lovely conditions along the beach, nice and sunny.
Awesome.
Perfect entry-level ultra race.
Not very like the UK, based on I can see how your brain got to Puglia. Yeah, that makes sense. So we'll talk about where training was and what the process was to get to the start line, but let's just break down the exciting part first, which is the race itself. So 7th of November, start time?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. So how did you feel about kicking things off in the darkness?
Oh, I had no idea what I was going to be in for. I'd never really run in the dark that much. But the whole just waiting up until 10 p.m. to race, you know, when you wake up and you start to, you just want to get the race over and done with. You just kind of had to wait until 10 p.m. and you had those nerves all day. So to run through the darkness was just something that I just had to do, and I was a bit nervous about it, and it turns out I had every right to be nervous about it because it was 9 hours of pure just get through it rather than running. So, you know, I wasn't scared at any point, but it was really just all of the, you know, my head torch wasn't working as well as it should have.
Good.
There was mud up to my ankles. I fell over a whole bunch of times. It was really just endure the night. And then once the sun comes up, it's all good.
That's the best thing in the world. I think if a drug dealer could package up the sun coming up midway through an ultra and sell that, they'd be in a lucrative business, put it that way. So on that note, sun came up 7:30-ish.
Yeah, 7:30.
And was that rejuvenating? Did you feel any sense of tiredness after that, or was the hardest part over getting through the night?
I think definitely the hardest part was during the night. It was raining. There was mud. There was a thunderstorm at some point. It was just insane. I'll show you the videos, but it was absolutely just chaos. When the sun came up, we were going through the canyons, and it was just this beautiful pink sky, and I was with this whole bunch of like people from all over the world. So I had this French guy and this Italian guy in front of me, and we just kind of stopped, and you know, they could barely speak a word of English. I could speak 2 words of Italian, and we were just in so much awe that the sun came up, and I was finally able to see the ground again properly, and I was just so excited to know that part's over. Let's just get through the next 130 kilometres or whatever, 120 kilometres.
Do you know how far you covered during the night section?
Ooh, so I would say 70 kilometres.
Okay, so about halfway.
Yeah, 60, 70 kilometres, yeah.
How was the terrain and elevation profile? Was it pretty even the whole way through? Was it sort of a couple of big spikes?
Couple of big spikes. I think through the first 100 kilometres, that's where all the elevation was.
Okay.
So that was about 3,800 metres. There are points where I was hanging onto a tree and there was too much mud for you to go up this hill. So everybody was either on their hands and knees trying to climb up this mud part. I'm hanging onto the tree. I don't have enough, I just don't know how I'm going to get up this hill. So I just dug my fingers in. This was at the 20k mark, so it got dark very quickly. Yeah. And I just remember digging my nails in. I just got my nails done too, and just like climbing up this hill. And it was just getting to that aid station, see my friend, and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Fine, we'll just get through this."
Yeah, no comment. I plead the fifth.
Yeah. It was just chaos from the start, and that elevation was just ridiculous.
So, how did you chunk it up in planning? Because obviously, going through the night, not having done that before, you want to be optimistic. But the key with any ultra, any sort of long distance event, anything over like 3 hours or more, I'd say, you want to try and break it down into bite-sized phases so that the totality of the event doesn't become overwhelming. So, studying the elevation profile, studying the distance, looking at all you could around the race and the handbook and athlete guide and all that sort of thing. How did you go into it strategically in terms of chunking it up physically?
I knew that, I think the day before the race, I realised that if I break this up into 12 kilometres 12 times, that was how I was mentally getting through that. So I didn't focus on, I've got, 60 kilometres to do. It was never like that. Or, I've just run 80 kilometres. I'm going to focus on the 12 kilometres in front of me. In terms of elevation profile, a lot of us were going into that quite blind. Yes, you had the elevation profile that you could see, but nobody had ever experienced what that was actually going to look like. So in my mind, I'm just like 12 kilometres or roughly 2 hours. Let's just move through that. And that helped with nutrition. That helped with, having the mental resilience of just, ticking off that 12 kilometres and getting to that end point and celebrating that.
Yep.
Every 12 kilometres was that celebration. And then I'm like, okay, let's just do that again. If I came into that race at the start line thinking I've got to run 145 kilometres, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
There was a point where on my watch, I did not look at the kilometres. I couldn't. But there was a point maybe 120 kilometres in where I accidentally turned to that, and I looked at it and I just felt unwell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, we're not doing that anymore. So I just like turned it back to the time. I'm like, okay, we're fine. We can do this. We've got another 20 minutes until we get to an aid station. So breaking that up was just how I got through it, and I think was the driver for getting me to the finish line.
Yeah, there's a lot in there, because I think for me, the two biggest emotional spikes, and Jamie, who's through in the other room at the moment, will testify to this quite aggressively and probably quite despondently, I'd imagine, actually, because he witnessed both of these emotional meltdowns, I think is the polite way of putting them. Outbursts, yeah, total implosions, I think is probably fair. I think it was just as I hit the 100-mile mark on the 250k, so 55 miles to go. Wow, I've hit 100 miles. Holy fuck, I've got 55 miles to go. As soon as I let that, knowing how I felt at that point, and then thinking, okay, how far is to go? Oh, wow, that's a huge distance. There's no way you can do that. Oh, this isn't possible. And then you start to fall apart. And then the same thing happened again, just over 200k. So kind of key milestones, which just goes to show the milestone is what made me frame things rather than just thinking about the next bite-sized chunk. So I used 200k and 100 miles in my head subliminally as these markers to check in with myself on. And in doing so, didn't stick to my strategy of only review 10k at a time. So I think that's an important lesson for anyone embarking on any ultra endurance journey, is that the only way you can get through it sustainably, but also to make sure that you enjoy it and that you don't find yourself having a wobble more often than is needed, which is all part of the game, is to try and establish those chunks. You can set your watch up so it only laps every 10k, every 5k, whatever it might be, and that can be a really useful way of doing things. So would you do anything differently? I mean, obviously part of the excitement and experience of a destination ultra is you don't know what the terrain is going to be like. But if you were to do it again, would you approach things differently? Would it still be 12k intervals? Would you approach it in any other way?
I think that the 12k intervals was just the best method for it. Elevation wise, there were a few chunks where I'm like, we could have maybe even, I don't know, maybe just gone by time and just been like, okay, so every hour, let's just focus on getting
What
to
was
that
the slowest 12k? Do you know?
Ooh, 113 kilometers to 130.
Was that over 2 hours, I'd assume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was rough.
Yeah, because I had one point in the 250 where there was one 10k that took us, it was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it was at a point where it shouldn't have been, but it was the terrain. Because that was the one part of the route I hadn't recce'd beforehand, because it's so difficult to get to and the terrain is so grim that, yeah, mentally, when you've set a plan and then it kind of falls apart because the terrain doesn't play ball, but the terrain isn't not playing ball. You plan for the wrong thing. I think that's the key thing, is the context matters. If you plan for A but you receive B, i.e. a mudslide in your situation, then the strategy goes out the window. So I think that's where it's always important to have, we'll go through the exercise of, okay, this is what things look like in the elevation profile, this is what things look like on Strava route mapping, etc. Okay, that's all logical. That's my A goal. The B goal, let's say it's torrential rain or a tree's fallen, or whatever it might be, how far are you willing to scale back and kind of make your C goal, if you're walking at a pedestrian pace, that's kind of the parameter, so that you don't think that you're falling apart when actually you're just navigating the technical and challenging terrain, which is where you kind of cut your cloth with ultras, isn't it? If you can get through those bits with a steady head, that's where when you get the opportunity to run the flats, you can just immediately put the foot down and go. Or you can sulk and wander and go, oh, fuck this, it's been really hard and I'm behind on my goal, which is, I think, where the biggest value of actually going through an ultra comes from, because you're forced to wrestle with all of the inputs and the variables that don't go your way in the day, because I don't know a single person in the world who's ever done an ultra where a variable has not thrown a spanner in the works. I think an ultra is essentially a set of circumstances and parameters in which we're chucking a whole lot of variables, and on the day you're trying to prepare yourself to be able to tackle emotionally and physically whichever ones are tweaked away from the theoretical planning for them. I think that's the fun, because if you can take any punches that the ultra throws you and just go, okay, well, ouch, but I've planned for this, off we go, then that's a very valuable skill to develop. So were there any moments that you recall as the most emotionally challenging?
Yes, there was a point where
implosions.
To be honest, I went into this race with no expectations. Get to the finish line, which I think, in like considering the weather, considering the terrain, a great goal to have because everybody's goals went out the window within the first 5 kilometres. If you had a time goal, forget about it.
Yeah.
Because the conditions were so bad. Now, in terms of wobbles, I was so positive, which shocked me throughout the entire race because I was just loving it.
Yeah.
I had such a great time. I was in pain, but loving it. There was a point at 113 kilometres, you'd gone down this gorge all the way down and then all the way back up. And it was just, there was no handrails, there was no safety.
Slippy.
It was slippy. Yeah. It was just hard. And I got to the top and I met Nick, who was crewing me, which was absolutely amazing. And I just saw him there. I'm like, that was really difficult. And that was the first moment where I had a negative thought.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, so you've got another 15 kilometres of this just being shit and this just being a bit rubbish because you've got to go down another gorge and all the way back up. But then after that, you're flying. You're fine. It's on the flat. And for the rest of the race, you're going to be going downhill and it's going to be flat. And I'm like, yeah, you've got a good point. There's a little bit more of just hard work. But again, just breaking it up. The next 12 kilometres, going to be rubbish. But after that, you're fine. The thing about ultras, which I've learnt, is the second that you get negative, everything works towards that negativity.
Yeah.
So even if I'm having rubbish time, I'm like, oh, isn't this a great trail? Like, wouldn't my family love to be here along these trails? This is a nice section. Let's just appreciate that section. And it was just turning my mind into this, like, just this kind of this positive light where I was able to just, you know, talk myself up and just really appreciate where I am, be in the moment, not think about what's ahead. I fell over 4 times in various locations, into a bush, onto boulders, into a puddle. It was just, if I dwelled on that, my race could have gone south very quickly. My mindset would have gone south. But I took a moment and I'm like, okay, that was a bit funny. Let's just stay there for a second and then just keep moving because you can't dwell on that. So it was just being in the moment and staying positive. Otherwise, I could have had so many wobbles. But there was that one moment, that was done, and the rest of the race was awesome.
Nice. I think with any ultra-endurance event, as fatigue increases, so does the capacity for the rate of compounding, whereby as you accumulate more and more fatigue as time goes on and you become more and more sleep deprived and more physically just depleted, potentially energy depleted as well in terms of hydration and nutrition, all the things you're trying to keep on top of, the rate at which some positivity can compound into more positivity or the rate at which some negativity can compound into some more negativity increases with every kilometre that passes. So in the first 10 kilometres, if something doesn't go your way, you can frame it in a way that doesn't knock you back. Whereas at mile 107 out of 140, you're already pretty deep, and you then think, oh my God, right, okay, this is terrible, and then all of a sudden everything starts building and compounding fast and fast and fast, and it becomes hard to come back from.
Exactly.
And I think that's where the more you can experience that in training or in previous events and tap into that experience of having faith that no one feeling lasts forever, this too shall pass, whatever cliche we want to throw at it, is where it allows you to control that rapid compounding. Because, fatigue is going to accumulate. That's what the event is designed to do. But it's how do you operate and make decisions and rationalize things when you are presented with a challenge.
Exactly.
And the more tired you get, the more challenges you're going to create for yourself as well, because you might forget to eat, you might drop something, you might miss a turn, you might misplace your foot. All things that I've done and will do again, most likely. And I'm sure every bush, every puddle, every gorge, slippy rock knew about Kelly in Puglia. So there we are. So I think, it's very valuable lessons that come from them. So last 15K?
15K.
Last 15K was runnable. Did you manage to run the whole thing? Did you have it in the legs to be able to run the whole thing? Or was it walk, run?
Okay, so the last 15K, I'll paint a picture. I am coming currently in first place in my division and 4th woman overall. I have somebody in my division 10 minutes behind me.
Okay.
And I knew that for the last 20 kilometres. And I didn't know my position until 100 kilometres in. But at that final aid station, I knew that somebody may be chasing me. That's a bit dramatic. But, I have the potential to win this division or, drop back a bit.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm very competitive, and I'm just like, right. So I get into that aid station. Nick, who again is with me, we just get into this. We kind of understand what's going to be happening here. So he hands me my last 90-gram precision gel. He's like, this is the last one you need to have.
See off.
Yeah. I'm like, finally. And he's like, after that, it's pizza.
Was there a part of you that wanted to put it in a shoe and drink it?
Yeah. I love a shoey.
Yeah, of course.
I had some Stroop waffles that I packed into my vest. I spent maybe 2 minutes at that aid station, and he's like, you've got to go now. And there was something in me, I can't tell you what it was, all this pain of the last 20 hours just left. And I'm like, I am ready. I didn't remember the last 20 hours. I went out at a sub 5-minute pace and just sent it for the next 7 kilometres. The last 7 kilometres of the race, sand along the beach.
Good. Excellent.
Soft sand. And from my triathlon days, I'm like, okay, dig your toes in. You've got to get through this. My watch had died at that point. I have no idea. I'm speaking to this Italian guy behind me being like, how long left?
And it moves so slowly at that point, doesn't it? Yeah. We must have covered a kilometre, 212 metres. Fuck.
Oh, and because it was so dark, it was coming into the second night. I couldn't run on the hard sand because there was none because the tide had come in.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find where the hard sand is.
Did you consider swimming?
I considered just walking into the ocean and just kind of like floating away.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I could see the arches of the finish line. I'm like, that's about 400 metres away, isn't it? No, it's about 5 kilometres, Kelly. So I'm just like trudging through this sand, trying to find the hard places. I don't know who's behind me. Again, trying to send it. Look behind me. I just see lights. I see this red moon. It's absolutely stunning. And I finally get to the finishing chute, and I can just hear it. They're like, Kelly Egan, first in her division, 4th female overall. And I usually sprint at the end of these races. I'm like, I'm like, this is a moment for me to enjoy.
Yep, nice. Yeah.
I can't believe I've done this. I just kind of walk and jog down the finish line, and I'm just in disbelief, and my body is absolutely wrecked. And it was just a moment of just being like, how has this happened? And just being so excited to finish it, but also being so grateful for all of it because it was hard, but it was absolutely amazing.
And that's the point, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ultimately, that is the point. It's easy to forget because I can't remember the phrase. It's what a privilege. What a privilege it is to be tired in the pursuit of something we chose for ourselves. Or
100%. I paid good money for this.
Yeah, you did. And you had to get the Airbnb host to pick you up. And what's the point in complaining about it once you've got that far? So well done. Do you know how close you were to third?
I think I was an hour off third. So I think the first place.
So the battle from that last aid station was just to hold your place, really.
100%.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, which is the worst place to be, actually, because you can only go downwards. I think, Jimmy Carr said something on this, which is, the best place to be in any situation is second best, because you've always got somewhere to go, or the worst situation to be is the person that's at the top, because you can only go backwards.
Exactly.
Whereas in your situation, okay, I'm in fourth, either stay in fourth by working your arse off, or drop to fifth by sandbagging it.
100%.
Or sand-walking it, as it ultimately became, unfortunately. But it's, very well done.
Thank you.
Finishing time, were you under 24?
Yeah, I was 21 hours.
Nice.
So 21 hours 30, and by that final stretch, I'd bridged the gap from 10 minutes to 30. So,
nice.
Yeah, really, really went for it. So happy with the time. And once I got to the finish line, it was like I went to heaven. Heaven, like it was just this weird moment of seeing everyone that you ran with for the past 21 hours in like a room together. And you're all just looking at each other. It's like, I know you.
It's almost like purgatory.
Oh, 100%. I'm like, where am I?
The waiting room.
People, People like coming over and being like, congratulations, I love like running with you through this part. And I'm like, I don't remember you at all. But it was just like everyone had been through this absolute hell, but it was so cool to see. It was just amazing.
Right, we're going to talk about prep very quickly, but it is freezing in here for anyone that's watching. I can see Kelly shivering.
Sterling's not handling
I am
it.
in a big jacket, and if you're thinking, why is he in a big jacket indoors? It's because this podcast studio is an annex to our warehouse, which is already cold because it's a warehouse in Scotland with a roller shutter door. But also, if we've got the heating on in the office, it spits out all of the cold air into the warehouse, thus making it colder than outside. So I've wasted precious seconds by giving you that description, but just in case it looks like Kelly is having a seizure, she's in fact just cold, which I thought I'd flag for the wonderful viewers and listeners. So prep wise, you use the Strength and 100-mile plan, and we were chatting before. It was the first time that you actually maintained strength training as a focus in any prep. How challenging did you find the balance, and did you feel like sticking to that actually helped the performance in the end, or was it just something that you enjoyed being able to balance concurrently?
I come from a strength background. Before I got into triathlon and running, I was 6 days in the gym. Absolutely loved it. As soon as I got into Ironmans and triathlons, that took a back seat. And I'm like, I would love to be able to build strength and, be able to perform in these endurance events. And I didn't realize that that was something that I could do. But with the programming, I got to the end of the week where I've got like a 5-hour run on a Saturday and a 6-hour run on a Sunday. I'm able to do that easily, but also lift quite heavy weights throughout the week. And I was just, so grateful that I was able to do that, because I love feeling strong. I love feeling fast because I'm quite powerful, but I'm also able to grow that. So it all just worked out perfectly. And it was the first time that I was able to be like, oh, okay, this can actually work.
Did you feel like the strength, especially in the lower body, helped with managing the elevation, both up and downhill?
Absolutely. I had some sort of kind of back issues last year in December where I had a bit of sciatica, and that's where I was like, okay, I need to keep my strength up. I don't think my body would have been able to handle that terrain without the strength. And I think it made me a lot more powerful of a runner as well. Again, that last 12K, that was just powerful running. And when I was doing my interval training throughout the week, I was a lot faster on the track than I've ever been, because I just had this power from the strength, from the deadlifting, from the squats that I didn't have before.
It was a big couple of weekends. So that program peaks 2 weeks out, doesn't it?
Yes.
So it was 5 hour Saturday, 6 hour Sunday. Where did you do it? Was it the same route both days, or did you mix it up?
Oh, I ran to the Pentlands one day.
Yeah.
And another day, it was probably the Pentlands again.
Was it there and back, or did you actually get into them a little bit?
I got into them a little bit. Nowhere near. It was bucketing down with rain.
Yeah. Brilliant training facility to have so close to Edinburgh.
Oh,
it's
just
beautiful. Phenomenal, yeah. I've almost made myself sick of them, which is a terrible thing to say because they're such a wonderful facility, but I checked Strava the other day. I've done over 1,000 miles in them, which is plenty. So I want to go back and enjoy it every time I'm there, rather than use it as an outdoor treadmill, so to speak. So I'm glad that you got to get there for those big ones, because that's where I have done my big ones at the end of peak weeks in the past. So how did you psych yourself up for the big five, the big weekend 5 and 6? Because those weekends, the simulation weekends in ultras, I often think are the hardest, because for most people, the ultras will either be a destination, an exploration, or you've tapered and you're getting to embrace the experience. So that last spike where you're kind of doing all of the worst bits of an ultra in training without actually doing the thing that you're training for is the most psychologically challenging place to be. So what strategies, methods did you employ to make sure that you could just get through those methodically and tick the boxes, or did you just take it in stride?
I feel like if I didn't do those sessions, good luck to me in that race. So that was my thinking. I'm like, if you don't do this, Kelly, you're going to have such a harder time come race day. Go out and do it. What else are you doing at 7 a.m. on a Saturday? Just go out and run. And my sort of thinking around it was run for 2.5 hours there, and then you've got to run back.
Yeah.
So it was really just this mental game of just like run as far as you can out, and you've got to run back anyway. It's faster than the bus. Just get it done. And once I get it done, I can eat all the food I want. I can have a hot shower, and that's done. And I'll just feel better for race day. Again, if I didn't do the training, I'm just going to hurt a lot more on the day.
I think at that point in any ultra prep as well, in my experience anyway, because I've never been going for I've never done a fast and flat ultra where I'm going for a set time.
Yeah.
60K I have done, but that was whilst training for a sort of hybrid strength thing. So it was very focused. It was just trying to go sub 6. So it wasn't really pushing me like a marathon prep or a mile prep would be, for example. But I find at that point in a prep, whilst fatigue is high, if you drop into sort of high zone 1, low zone 2, and you just you can be in such an efficient place. The lack of an impact that, or the how comfortable a 5-hour run can feel at that point in a prep is actually quite terrifying. And that's where those are the sessions that give me the confidence. But then you start doing the maths. Do this 4 times over. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, did you feel strong both days? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
It was amazing that I, again, like you said, was able to just run and just continue running. And I'm like, when does this get hard? But it wasn't the fact that I would get tired. Oh, I would get tired, but like it's just the impact on my body more so.
And because time's the main metric, you're not worried too much about, I need to be under 6 minutes per K. Because if I'm on the bike and I'm training for triathlon, the big thing with the double brutal for me in 2022 was going from the Keltman, where I wanted to always see my average speed at 30 kilometers an hour or higher. Versus on the double, it was just the time, so I didn't really pay attention to the speed at all. The amount that I enjoyed and felt smoother on my rides by just embracing time as the metric versus oh god, fuck, I've got to get this average speed up again. Is great, which means that I'm sure for you it was just okay. Oh, hour, 2 hours to go, and you don't even consider the time, which is quite a nice place to be mentally, I think.
Yeah, and with the race as well, I knew that I just had to obviously continue running. The race doesn't start until after 100 kilometres.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, just get there. As, you know, you can be zone 1, zone 2. You can be walking. You can do whatever. And that was kind of like, I'd never look at my pace throughout the whole race. I wouldn't look at my pace throughout the training unless I was doing an interval session or whatever it may be. But just having that time and just be like, it's just time on legs. I'd even walk into work and be like, that's time on legs walking. So it was just... yeah, I just felt like I was in a very good place.
Nice. Awesome. And what have you been looking at on Google? What's next? The cliched question. I mean, I know what's next. It's a 1, 2, 3 letter number, rather, distance, I'd imagine, in an American style format. Yeah, it's something century related, perhaps. West Highland Way. Have you been looking at that?
Yeah,
that's 96 miles. So if you want to hit 100, you've got to do some change at the other end. But it is a very good route. Although that one bit in the middle, Inversnaid, I mean this very sincerely, can fuck off.
Yeah.
That bit is absolutely grim. That was like your gorge experience. You just, I think at one point Jamie and I were Jamie struggled to move through it and he was fresh. And I think at one point the fastest we could possibly move was about 32 minutes per kilometre. And I was like, the fuck is this?
Oh, you're really talking it up. Thanks, Fergus. Yeah. I'll definitely be doing that.
Every other section's great. That section, everybody tells you, oh, that bit's tough. And you're like, yeah. It's very tough. But it is an amazing race, and it's done in the summer, so you can experience most of it in the light versus what I did, which is experience most of it, and in fact the best bits in the dark. So what have you been looking at? What are you plotting next?
I knew that once I come out of this 144 kilometres that I was just like, yeah, I want to do this again.
Yeah.
Not, a couple of weeks after, but now I'm like, okay, this seems like my distance because I can just plod along. I would love to do another UTMB race where I get enough running stones to qualify for the UTMB finals in Chamonix. That would be the ultimate goal.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
But it sounds funny, but the start of next year I'd really love, and this is going completely the other way, to do like a sub 3 hour marathon. Okay. I want to get fast. Yeah. And then lean towards the ultras later on in the year. So I just want to mix it up. Yeah. I'm not a pro athlete. I'm not doing this for money. I just want to go into a race and feel excited about it, which was why Puglia was so exciting to me. So I just need to find something that's just like, yeah, let's do that. So we'll see. I've had these ideas about breaking records. I've had these ideas about multi-day events. I've had these ideas about like countries to countries. We will see. But I feel like the next 6 months is going to be, you just get fast, you enjoy running again. Not that I don't, but
I know the blues post events. It's something that needs managed delicately. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Any dream marathon locations? If you could run sub 3 at any of the marathons available on the planet, where would it be?
Ooh, I mean, London would be amazing.
London would be amazing. I think London is yeah. London or New York are the two that appeal to me the most.
New York would be sick.
New York's got that punch at the start that's a bit helly though, and I think the hanging around at the start for so long would not irritate me, because everybody's got to go through it, but I think that's another variable you've got to manage on top of many other variables, on top of what's already a very challenging event. So if it gun to my head, London or New York, I'd choose London, but I am from the UK, so that's obviously a bucket list bias. I'd swat the gun away and say I'd like to do both. Thanks, Mr. Captor, in this made-up situation. But yeah, I think that would be good. Nothing. What parts of Europe have you not been to that you'd like to be? Or like to go to rather?
More Eastern Europe, I would say, like even like Norway, like Scandinavia.
Yeah, there's not really fast marathons around there, I guess, is it? So that's where the ultras come in. Do the fast marathon in London, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you could get a place for April, then that would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
And then this time next year could be a very cold Scandinavian ultra.
Exactly.
Watch this space. We'll fascinating. Interesting. Well, thank you very much. A wonderful debrief, and very pleased to hear that the Strength 100 Mile Plan got you there. That was an obvious plug. So everyone listening, check out the description. Thank you very much. And we all look forward to seeing what happens next. Amazing. We know what's going to happen next, but exactly where it's going to happen is where the tension comes from. So we shall see.
Amazing.
We shall see.
Thank you so much.